What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I am your host, Jimmy Smith, and I hope you're all having yourselves a great weekend. It is Sunday, a little after 6 o'clock here, and going to try to put this out as soon as I possibly can for you so we can continue this train with free agency upon us, less than 2 weeks away. And look, a lot of important pieces for the Eagles, hopeful to come back here, but we go through each position just like we do in the draft as well. We'll go through and talk about how this Eagles team can be built into a contender, back-to-back championships coming our way. We're building a dynasty here. We're talking about it each and every day here, getting led into that start. March 14th is the beginning, but on the 12th, there is the tampering period, so they will do all those little things behind the curtain. So getting you ready for it. At the end of this, we will have a recap, my favorite guys, this, that, the other thing, but each position, we talk about what the Eagles have there, what's going on, the cap space the Eagles have, then of course the top fits in that free agency. So let's talk about the tight ends here tonight, and it's a position we've talked about the last couple of years looking to get a little bit younger. So for me, definitely looking in the draft, but there are some free agents we can talk about here. So I've got 8 fits for you here tonight, but I appreciate you all taking the time, hitting that like button, sharing, subscribing. If you have anything on your mind, love to hear from you down below in the comments. If there's anybody you like, and obviously we'll get into the draft, and there's a lot of tight ends we're going to be talking about here. So excited about that, but free agency is here right now, so let's talk about it. Now we need to know a little something before we talk about it, and that's always the cap space. And just like we've said throughout the last few shows here, we're good. Don't worry, we can resign. Hopefully Zach Bond, get Mekhi Becton back. I don't know that Milton Williams and Josh Sweat are back, but we've got the cash to do what we please here. And, you know, obviously – you need a couple million. You don't need 10 million, 5 million, all this, stuff people make up about draft picks. We've got the cap space to do what we please here. So hopefully we bring back those guys we mentioned, but there is room to continue to improve. And tight end is one of those areas we have continued to talk about because, well, the Eagles, obviously you've got one of the best tight ends in the game in Dallas Goedert, but we've seen it over time that he has continued to have injuries. I hate it for him because I love the dude. I really do. But, not even just that, if he gets banged up and you need someone to replace him, but even to pair with him, that 12 personnel we talk about with the 2 tight ends, very important. So we'll see what, obviously a new offense here we're going to be having with, Kellen Moore going to New Orleans and the Eagles now with Kevin Patullo. So, but, Grant Calcaterra, he was hopeful here with Jalen Hurts, the history there. You bring him in. More of the receiving type guy, try to improve his blocking there, but definitely more so the receiving type tight end. EJ Jenkins, a little blend of both, a former receiver, but these guys are under contract. You see Cameron Latou, Nick Muse, all these guys have videos, so go check them out. They were signed last year, Latou at the end of the season, Nick Muse as well. But Uzoma, he is a free agent. Don't care that he comes back, but obviously, tight end is a position I've continued to talk about over the years, and I think that you need to get Dallas Goedert's replacement sooner rather than later. And obviously, having depth is obviously a big, big concern. So let's talk about these free agents that are going to be available here. And obviously, we talk about each and every one of them. Exclusive rights is how we started off. Those are the guys that get tendered, and they either sign that 1-year tender for the league minimum or they don't play at all. Now, the team, that you see there does not have to tender them, and then they become unrestricted. But these guys could most likely be back with those teams if they want them back. But you can see the 5 tight ends that are exclusive rights free agents with the 2 years or less accrued. Brady Russell, originally signed, Eagles undrafted kid. Now with Seattle, we'll see if they tender him. Now, restricted guys, those are 3 years and under. And, obviously a team, we talk about the tenders. They could be first round, second round. That's most likely not any of these guys. And then you talk about the right of refusal. You talk about the original round tender. So if they're drafted somewhere, Peyton Hendershot didn't work out for the Cowboys there with KC. Dalton Keene, you see there with Houston. He's a guy that could definitely be tendered, original round tender or whatever they want to do with him. If somebody tries to sign him, they can match that offer. But he is definitely an intriguing prospect there. Guys like Stone Smart as well, Tegan Quitoriano, Shane Zylstra there. Shane Zylstra from Detroit Lions, and then Quentin Morris from Buffalo. So you've got some talented guys, and teams can definitely try to do their best to hold on to them. Now, the 4 years or more, the guys that are unrestricted, anybody can sign them. And this is in order of how much they made last year per year. So Tyler Conklin leading the way, Juwan Johnson, Everett, Mo Ali Cox, Mike. There's a lot of names here. Zach Ertz, Gesicki, a lot of names that pop out to you. And, I actually, I'm just going to give it away right here. I don't have a lot of people that, you might think like Hayden Hurst. I'm not interested. Azoma, not interested. Vanette, Swaim, Saubert. Some of these guys I contemplated, but I don't know, man. Tanner Hudson, Kenny Yeboah, at times in their careers, it's like, okay, but maybe the right system, right? You never know. So a couple of the guys I definitely would be mad at, but I didn't throw guys on here like Mr. Zach Ertz, who I think still talented, but I think that bridge has been crossed, and I think you need to look to maybe get younger. And if you're not going to get younger, I don't know that I want another receiving type tight end when you have, Grant Calcaterra here, who I think can do that. So some question marks as to which tight ends you would look at. But for me, I'm passing on Zach Ertz here, and I'm looking at some other guys. Let's talk about the top 8 fits I've got here. Love to hear your thoughts on who your fits for the Eagles are. Any of those guys you like on the list. Maybe you want Zach Ertz back. A lot of things could go down in free agency. I wouldn't be against it, but I got some other things on my mind, and we're going to start it off with a receiving type tight end. If you're going to go for it, I want to go a little younger. So let's talk about it here. And Kylen Granson, this is a dude, 6'3", 242, only 26 years old. This will be his 5th year. He was not there with Sirianni. He came the year after Sirianni left to become the Eagles head coach, but played in 17 games, had 6 starts, 14 receptions. I think he played like 39% of the snaps. So he got out there this year, did have a couple drops, but 13 yards per reception. This is a guy I like, his athleticism, and he's not exactly the greatest blocker, so that's why I talk about more of a receiving type guy. But that's not exactly where I'm at. I think Calcaterra could be better than him, is better than him. And look, this is a guy maybe you bring in to compete. I do like his game. I think I'm looking elsewhere. So the rest of the guys you're going to see, I'm looking for more of a blocking tight end. And we talked about that. Dallas Goedert can block, but imagine having another tight end that can block. That 12 personnel, even running 13 personnel. So what about bringing a guy back like Jack Stoll, who was here with the Eagles last year as well? This will be his 5th year he's going into. He's 6'4", though, 247. His blocking has continued to improve. He does have those soft hands. He can catch the ball. You can see last year, I had a couple starts. And that was with the Eagles, where got a couple catches. But then once we had to waive him to bring back Jordan Mailata, the Dolphins claimed him. So we weren't able to put him back on our practice squad. Maybe you try to bring him back this year. He competes. Maybe he makes the practice squad again. I, again, would like to focus on tight end in the draft. So I'm looking more toward tight end 3, a guy that can block. So for me, Jack Stoll, I would not be against bringing someone back, and he's not going to cost you much at all. Maybe $1 million per year, but he's got talent as a blocker and catcher, so would not be against it. Now, we're talking blocking. Why not a dude that is just a tank that blocks people? 6'2", 251, MyCole Pruitt. Now, this is a veteran coming into, this will be his 10th year, 32 years old. He had 5 starts last year. Now, only 6 catches for 40 yards. Obviously, a guy, and he didn't get to touchdown, but not a receiving tight end. This is a dude that you put in there as a pretty much another offensive lineman. And he's been around the way. Vikes, Bears, Texans, Titans, Falcons, most recently with the Steelers. But this dude, he is a little bowling ball, and I think, it'd be great to have some blocking there. Bring him in if you, obviously, again, I want them to focus in the draft, but you have a guy that can push some dudes, teach him some things about blocking. That would be great. It's always the little things that matter, and I think getting a blocking guy in here would be great. And another blocking giant, we talked about both those guys. Remember when Pruitt was with the Falcons, he was a free agent last year. Manhurst was with the Broncos. He was a free agent, but, he spent time with the Saints, Panthers, Jags, Broncos just mentioned, and most recently the Giants. Now, obviously, he is a blocking dude. 30.4% of the snaps is all he played. Only had 3 catches, 30 yards. He got a touchdown too. But 11 starts, and that's because he's a 6'6", 255 pound beast. But this will be his 10th season as well, 32 years old. So we're talking about tight end 3 here, somebody that comes in, teaches these young guys. Hopefully somebody else beats him out. But if you're talking about cheap guys, that's where my head's at with, guys like Pruitt, Manhurst, Stoll that we're talking about. And maybe you have to pay a little bit more because this guy is one of the best blocking tight ends in the game. And Johnny Munn, he's somebody that played, I think, with 38.9% it is of the snaps for the Vikings. He was in there to block, dude. you see, though, he can catch the ball as well. 19 receptions for 142 yards, 2 touchdowns, had 3 starts, so had to catch the ball in there, and Hawkinson banged up. That stuff happened. So when called upon, he did his thing. So maybe he cost just a little bit more, but not much at all. And I think that one of the better blocking tight ends that can help you by catching the ball as well, that's always a plus. So would not be against adding someone like a Johnny Mundt. Now, another guy that can, catch the ball may cost a little bit more, and I think he might cost more than the $2.5 million for someone else, but maybe the Eagles can talk him down. Somebody that played with Nick Sirianni for a few years there, and I think, he was there for a year before Sirianni, so they know each other the entire time Sirianni was there. He's 6'6", 260 pounds. Dude can block, but he's also a former basketball player who goes up and gets the ball. So 13 starts, only 12 catches, 147 yards, had a touchdown, only 1 drop, but 12.3 yards per catch. I really enjoy his game still. He's 31 years old, going to be his 8th year, so I don't know that you have to pay him much, right? I'm not looking at him for a high price tag. I understand he's one of the better tight ends in free agency, but if you could talk him down to try to come win a chip, help out some of these young tight ends that we have, bring in somebody in the draft, but allow him to be that 3rd, 4th tight end, I would be all about it. So, that's who I've got there at number 3. Now, number 2, this is a guy, that only played 19% of the snaps there with the Raiders, but they obviously had Brock Bowers and Austin Hooper was there. But 6'5", 240 pounds, only 26 years old, going to be his 6th season. And he might have to pay a little bit because this dude can block and he can also catch the ball pretty well. Now, only 9 catches for 86 yards, no touchdowns. But again, down the depth chart, I think this is a guy who got paid a little bit more than this, but you could talk him down. I think a perfect scenario for him would be here with the Eagles. And again, I'd still focus in the draft, but this would be an upgrade over Grant Calcaterra, who I still like Grant Calcaterra, don't get me wrong. But if you give him some competition, I think that'd be great. And I think Calcaterra and Bryant would be some great competition that could possibly both make the team. Goddard, hopeful that, he's still here for a couple years, can stay healthy, but you got to have guys behind him. You got to have guys that can play with him. So Harrison Bryant, I think, would be a perfect blend who, again, can block and catch. Perfect for this style offense that I think Kevin Patullo will run. Now, number 1 is a dude we talked about out of Notre Dame, in the draft a few years ago. This will be his 5th damn season. Crazy. 6'4", 250 pounds. And this is a beast. This guy, he is a football player. And I think he just epitomizes what Philadelphia is. So I would love to have him out here smashing some dudes. He played 49.9% of the snaps for the Panthers last year. And, he got in there due to some injuries and things going on. They've got a bright young tight end, Jatavian Sanders from Texas there. So I think trouble walks, and I think this would be a perfect spot for him. 234 yards, 2 touchdowns on 23 receptions, 10.2 yards per reception. This is a guy that might cost you a little bit, maybe more than that 2.5 mil. But I think at 24 years old, that size, his toughness, his ability to catch, gadget type player, I think you could use him a little bit as a fullback. The same with Harrison Bryant. I think you could use those guys in fullback type roles. And Ben Van Sumeren doesn't have to be relied upon. These guys can catch the ball. You could do a lot more with, what this offense, was last year. That's great. But you have to continue to grow, continue to improve. And I think that 12, 13 personnel that we talk about, they wanted to use, but injuries kind of, stop that from happening. You run the ball more, play action stuff. I think that this offense is only going to continue to get better. And I think improving that tight end position would be key. So, again, I would like to look in the draft, but there are some free agent options I think that would help improve this team, whether that just be mentally in the offseason or on the field for the future, whatever it may be. But I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Maybe you got a top 3, a top 5, top 10, whatever's on your mind. I'd love to hear it. Always down to talk some birds with you. But if you got anything going on, you need a friend, anything, I'm always here for you guys as you are for me. Appreciate you guys hitting that like button, subscribing, sharing, all that stuff truly means the world to me. Hope you're having yourselves a great weekend. We'll get to the offensive line hopefully tomorrow night. I'm going to put that one out. Then we'll get right to the defense. Excited about a lot of that talk because we got a lot of free agents there to talk about. Already talked about it, though. In a sense, we did a recap of our free agents, how to create cap space, all that stuff. So go check those videos out. But all I've got for you. So until next time, I am Jimmy Smith, and this is On the Road to Victory. You all stay safe out there, and as always, go Birds!